Subscribe to Infidelity Tales Lab. Now, let's begin. The consultation room smelled of industrial coffee and desperation. Aaron Wilson sat across from his boss, watching Harold Chin shuffle papers with the practiced efficiency of a man who delivered bad news 1,000 times before. 3 years at Meridian Analytics, and Aaron had built something rare in the consulting world. A reputation for solving problems others couldn't touch. Detroit, Harold said, sliding a manila folder across the desk. Manufacturing client, hemorrhaging money, can't figure out why. 2 weeks, maybe 3. Aaron picked up the folder, but didn't open it. When? Flight's tomorrow, 6 a.m. The weight settled in his chest like it always did before a trip. Not the work. He could handle supply chain analysis in his sleep. It was Emma, his 7-year-old daughter, who used to chase him to the door with drawings and goodbye hugs. Lately, those hugs had become desperate, clinging things that left bruises on his ribs. "I'll need to talk to Melissa first," Aaron said. Harold leaned back, the chair creaking under his weight. "Your performance reviews are stellar, Aaron. But the travel's part of the package. We've discussed this." "I know." Aaron stood, tucking the folder under his arm. "I'll call you tonight." The drive home took 40 minutes through Chicago's northwest suburbs, past the cookie-cutter developments that had swallowed the farmland when Aaron was a kid. He'd grown up in Schaumburg, the son of a machinist and a high school teacher who'd taught him that problems had solutions if you looked hard enough. That philosophy had carried him through Northwestern, through his early career struggles, through meeting Melissa at a mutual friend's wedding 8 years ago. Melissa Donaldson had been radiant that night. Auburn hair, quick laugh, the kind of woman who made a room feel warmer just by entering it. They'd married within a year. Emma arrived 2 years later, and Aaron had thought he'd figured out the equation for happiness. The house sat at the end of Maple Ridge Court, a 3-bedroom ranch with a mortgage that kept Aaron taking Harold assignments. He pulled into the driveway behind Melissa's Accord and sat for a moment, watching the living room curtains. Movement inside, Emma running probably. The tightness in his chest eased slightly. Inside, chaos. Emma's toys scattered across the hardwood like a minefield. The TV playing some animated movie Aaron didn't recognize. Melissa emerged from the kitchen, flour dusting her black yoga pants. "You're home early," she said, kissing his cheek. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. It hadn't for months now, and Aaron couldn't pinpoint when the change had started. "Got the Detroit assignment." The smile vanished completely. "When?" "Tomorrow morning." "Aaron." "Daddy." Emma exploded from the hallway, launching herself at his legs. Aaron caught her, lifting her up. She wrapped her arms around his neck with that desperate strength again, face buried in his shoulder. "Hey, princess. Missed me." Emma pulled back, her green eyes, Melissa's eyes, searching his face. "You're not leaving again, are you?" The question hit him like a fist. "I have to go to Detroit for work, sweetie. But just for a little while." "No." Emma's voice climbed to a shriek. "No, Daddy, please. You can't go. You have to stay. She'll come again and—" "Emma, enough." Melissa's voice cut through the hysteria. She moved forward, trying to pry Emma from Aaron's arms. "We've talked about this. Daddy has to work sometimes. But she does bad things." Emma was crying now, fat tears rolling down her flushed cheeks. "She hurts me when you're gone, Daddy. She says things and makes me." "Emma Grace Wilson, that's enough." Melissa's shouts startled them both. Emma went quiet, hiccuping sobs, still clinging to Aaron. Melissa's face had gone pale, 2 spots of red high on her cheeks. "Go to your room. Now." "Melissa," Aaron started. "Now, Emma." Emma slid from Aaron's arms and ran down the hallway. The slam of her bedroom door echoed through the house. Melissa stood rigid, staring at the wall. "Who's she?" Aaron asked quietly. "No one. Emma's been having nightmares. The pediatrician said it's normal for her age, separation anxiety, vivid imagination." "That didn't sound like imagination, Melissa." "Well, what do you want me to say, Aaron?" Melissa's voice cracked. "That our daughter is making up stories about abuse? That she's trying to manipulate you into staying home?" The words hung between them, sharp and ugly. Aaron studied his wife's face, looking for the woman he'd married. She was in there somewhere, behind the exhaustion and the defensiveness. I'm not accusing her of manipulation, he said carefully. But she's clearly terrified of something. Or someone. Melissa's expression shifted, something Aaron couldn't read. It's my mother. She thinks my mother is hurting her. The statement landed like a bomb. Barbara Donaldson, Melissa's mother, the woman who'd made it clear from their first meeting that Aaron wasn't good enough for her daughter. The woman who'd shown up at their wedding with a folder of prenuptial agreement templates. The woman who'd suggested, 3 months after Emma was born, that maybe Melissa should leave Aaron and move back home where she'd have proper support. Why would Emma think that? Aaron asked. Because my mother watches her when you're gone and I have to work. Because Emma doesn't like following rules, and my mother actually enforces them, unlike certain other grandparents who let her eat ice cream for breakfast. Aaron felt his jaw tighten. My parents visit once a month. Your mother has a key to our house. She's helping us, Aaron. Childcare costs a fortune. I never asked for her help. No, you just leave me to handle everything while you jet off to save failing businesses. Melissa's voice had gone cold. My mother steps in when I need her. Emma needs to learn to respect that. Aaron wanted to argue, but he'd learned when to retreat. I'll talk to Emma, he said. He found his daughter curled on her bed, clutching Mr. Buttons, the stuffed rabbit she'd had since she was 2. Her eyes were red but dry now, tracks of tears on her cheeks. Can I sit? Aaron asked from the doorway. Emma nodded. Aaron settled on the edge of her bed, and she immediately crawled into his lap. Tell me about Grandma Barbara, he said softly. Emma went very still. Mommy said I'm not supposed to talk about it. You can always talk to me, princess. Always. A long silence. Then, in a voice so small Aaron had to strain to hear, she comes at night. After Mommy goes to sleep. She makes me do things. Aaron's blood went cold. What kind of things? Bad things. She says if I tell anyone, she'll make sure you never come home. She says she'll tell Mommy that I'm a liar, and Mommy will stop loving me. She says, Emma's voice broke. She says she can make you disappear if she wants to. Aaron pulled his daughter closer, mind racing. Child abuse. That's what this sounded like. But Barbara? The woman was a nightmare, sure, controlling, judgmental, passive-aggressive. But physically hurting Emma? Has she ever touched you in a way that felt wrong? Aaron forced the words out. Anywhere you didn't want her to touch? Not like that. Emma shook her head. She makes me drink things that taste bad. And then I can't remember what happens. But I wake up and I'm scared. And sometimes my pajamas are different and... Aaron's vision went red at the edges. Drugging. Someone was drugging his daughter. Emma, listen to me. He held her face gently, making sure she met his eyes. You did nothing wrong. Nothing. And I promise you I'm going to fix this. But I need you to be brave for me. Okay? Can you do that? Emma nodded. Good girl. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to talk to Mommy and... She won't believe you. Emma grabbed his shirt. She never believes me. She says Grandma would never do anything wrong. That I'm making things up for attention. Aaron's mind worked through the angles. If he confronted Melissa now with these accusations, she'd defend her mother. They'd fight. Emma would be caught in the middle. And if Barbara really was doing something, if this wasn't just a child's nightmare, she'd cover her tracks the moment she suspected anyone knew. No, he needed evidence. He needed to catch Barbara in the act. Okay, Aaron said. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell Mommy I'm going on the trip. But I'm not really going. I'm going to stay home and keep watch. And when Grandma comes, if she comes, I'm going to see exactly what she's doing. But Emma, you can't tell anyone. Not even Mommy. This has to be our secret. Can you keep a secret? Emma's eyes went wide. You're going to catch her? I'm going to catch her. A smile broke across Emma's face. The first real smile Aaron had seen from her in weeks. Like a superhero. Exactly like a superhero. But superheroes work in secret, remember? I won't tell anyone, Daddy. I promise. Aaron held his daughter until she fell asleep, then carried her to her bed and tucked her in. In the hallway, he found Melissa standing with her arms crossed. What did she say? Aaron kept his expression neutral. She's scared. Separation anxiety, like the doctor said. I think the Detroit trip is a bad idea right now. You need to take that assignment, Aaron. Harold made that clear. I'll figure something out. Melissa's eyes narrowed. Don't coddle her. My mother is right. Emma needs to learn that the world doesn't revolve around her feelings. There was again that coldness. When had Melissa started sounding like Barbara? She's 7 years old, Aaron said quietly. She's allowed to have feelings. She's allowed to have feelings. She's not allowed to manipulate you with them. Aaron wanted to scream. Instead, he nodded. I'm going to take a shower. In the bathroom, with the water running to cover any sound, Aaron pulled out his phone and texted Harold, taking the assignment. Need to handle some family logistics first. Leaving tomorrow as planned. Then he opened a new browser window and started searching for hidden cameras on Amazon. The next morning, Aaron performed the charade perfectly. He kissed Melissa goodbye at 5:30, ruffled Emma's hair as she pretended to sleep, and loaded his luggage into the car. He drove to O'Hare, parked in long-term parking, and walked into the terminal. Then he walked right back out, caught an Uber, and had the driver drop him at Motel 6 3 miles from his house. The room smelled of bleach and old carpet. Aaron didn't care. He spread his supplies across the bed. 2 wireless cameras with night vision, a laptop, coffee, and a bag of trail mix that would serve as meals for however long this took. He'd spent the previous evening studying surveillance techniques, learning how to set up a monitoring system that would capture everything without being detected. At noon, using Melissa's lunch break when he knew she'd be at the office, Aaron slipped back in his house through the basement door. He'd disabled the security system from his phone, one of the few smart investments he'd made when they bought the place. The house felt wrong in his absence, like a stage set waiting for actors. The first camera went in Emma's room, hidden inside a stuffed unicorn on her bookshelf. The second went in the hallway, tucked into the crown molding with a view of Emma's door and the garage entrance. He was back at the motel within 20 minutes. Then he waited. The hours crawled past with agonizing slowness. Aaron watched the camera feeds on his laptop, seeing Melissa arrive home at 6, Emma running to greet her. They ate dinner, spaghetti, Emma's favorite. Bath time at 7:30. Bedtime at 8. By 9, the house was dark except for the glow of a TV in the master bedroom. Melissa was probably watching one of her crime shows. Aaron's phone buzzed at 9:45. A text from Melissa. Hope Detroit is going well. Emma asked about you at bedtime. He typed back. Meetings are brutal, but productive. Kiss Emma for me. 3 minutes later, Melissa's bedroom light went out. Aaron bought another cup of coffee from the motel vending machine and settled in for a long night. Maybe Emma had been imagining things. Maybe Barbara really did just enforce rules firmly, and Emma, sensitive kid that she was, interpreted it as abuse. Maybe. At 10:30, the garage door opened. Aaron sat up, heart hammering. On the screen, a figure emerged from the garage into the hallway. The camera caught her clearly in the motion-activated hallway light. Barbara Donaldson. She was 62, thin and angular, with steel-gray hair cut in a severe bob. She wore black pants and a dark jacket, and she carried a large canvas bag over her shoulder. She moved with purpose, walking straight past the master bedroom, where Melissa slept, straight to Emma's door. She didn't knock. She had a key. Of course she had a key. She let herself into Emma's room and closed the door behind her. Aaron's hands shook as he switched to the camera in Emma's room. The night vision showed Barbara setting her bag on Emma's desk, then moving to the bed. Emma was asleep, curled around Mr. Buttons. Barbara shook her daughter awake. Emma's face, even in grainy night vision, showed pure terror. Aaron couldn't hear what Barbara was saying. He'd been afraid to use audio recording equipment without consent, but he could see her lips moving, see Emma shrinking back against her headboard. Barbara pulled something from her bag, a bottle and a small plastic cup. She poured liquid into the cup and held it to Emma's mouth. Emma shook her head, crying silently. Barbara grabbed her jaw, forcing her mouth open, pouring the liquid down her throat. Emma choked and sputtered but swallowed. Aaron was out of the motel room and in his car before he consciously decided to move. The 3-mile drive took 2 minutes. He didn't care about speed limits. He didn't care about anything except getting to his daughter. He burst through the garage door at 11:02, taking the stairs 2 at a time. Emma's door was still closed. Aaron didn't knock. Barbara froze when he entered, caught in the act of pulling Emma's limp form into a sitting position. The plastic cup lay on the floor. Emma's eyes were glazed, unfocused. Aaron. Barbara's voice was remarkably calm. What are you doing here? What am I? Aaron couldn't form words. Rage and fear competed for dominance. He crossed the room in 3 strides and scooped Emma into his arms. She was semi-conscious, mumbling incoherently. Put her down, Barbara said. You're going to hurt her. I'm going to hurt her. Aaron's voice came out strangled. What the fuck did you give her? Language. She's having nightmares. I'm helping. You're drugging my daughter. Aaron's vision tunneled. He wanted to put Emma down. He wanted to wrap his hands around Barbara's throat and squeeze until... No, not in front of Emma. Not ever in front of Emma. I'm calling the police, he said. No, you're not. Barbara's expression didn't change. Because if you do, I'll tell them about your drinking problem. Your violence. The way you hit Melissa. Emma's bruises, the ones I documented, will corroborate everything. The words took a moment to penetrate. What? You're an abuser, Aaron. Everyone will believe it. Melissa will believe it. And Emma will... Barbara smiled. It was the coldest thing Aaron had ever seen. Children are so suggestible. With the right encouragement, she'll remember all sorts of things. Things that will make sure you never see her again. Aaron stared at this woman, this monster wearing the shape of a grandmother, and understood. This wasn't about Emma's discipline or nightmares. This was about control. Barbara had never accepted him as part of the family. She'd been systematically trying to destroy him, using Emma as a weapon. The bag, Aaron said. What else is in the bag? Barbara's smile widened. Nothing you'll ever prove. But Aaron was already moving. With Emma cradled in his left arm, he grabbed the canvas bag with his right and dumped its contents onto the floor. The plastic cup and bottle Emma had drunk from. A syringe. A digital camera. A notebook. And a small, zippered pouch. Aaron opened the pouch one-handed. Inside, makeup, foundation, eyeshadow, a tube of something labeled bruise wheel. His blood turned to ice. You were staging abuse. Documenting, Barbara corrected. What any concerned grandmother would do when she suspected her son-in-law was hurting her family. You're insane. I'm thorough. Barbara reached for the bag. Now give me. Aaron stepped back. Don't touch me. Don't touch Emma. Don't ever come near us again. Or what? Barbara's composure finally cracked, her voice rising. You'll hit me too? Add me to your list of victims? Please, Aaron. Give me an excuse. The bedroom door opened. Melissa stood there, wearing her pajamas, face slack with shock. Mom? Aaron? What's going on? Barbara's expression transformed instantly. Fear, tears, a trembling voice. Melissa, thank God. I came to check on Emma, and he attacked me. He's been drinking again and... I haven't been drinking, Aaron said flatly. Your mother has been drugging Emma. She's been for months. Every time I leave town. Melissa looked between them, confusion turning to horror. What? He's lying, Barbara said. Sweetheart, you know I would never. There are cameras, Aaron interrupted. In Emma's room. In the hallway. Everything is recorded. The color drained from Barbara's face. Cameras? Melissa's voice was barely a whisper. I installed them yesterday, after Emma told me what was happening. Look, Aaron gestured to the items on the floor with his free hand. The bottle she forced Emma to drink. The makeup she was using to fake bruises. She was building a case against me, Melissa. She was going to accuse me of child abuse. Melissa stared at the items. At her mother. At Emma. Limp in Aaron's arms. Mom. Her voice broke. Tell me it's not true. Barbara straightened, smoothing her jacket. Melissa, you have to understand. I was trying to protect you. Aaron is not the man you think he is. He's been hiding things, manipulating you. Not the man, Mom. We've been married for 6 years. 6 years. And you? Melissa's voice rose to a scream. You drug my baby? My daughter? What is wrong with you? I was saving her. Barbara screamed back. From him. From this life. You could do so much better, Melissa. You could come home, have a real life, not this suburban prison with a man who's never good enough. The words hung in the air. Aaron watched understanding dawn on Melissa's face. This wasn't about Emma's safety. This was about Barbara's control. About her inability to let her daughter go. Get out, Melissa said quietly. Melissa. Get out of my house. Now, before I call the police myself. You can't mean. Get out. Melissa's scream shook the walls. Barbara grabbed her bag, shoving the items back inside with shaking hands. She walked to the door, then paused. You'll regret this. Both of you. The only thing I regret, Aaron said, is not protecting Emma sooner. Barbara left. They heard the garage door open and close. A car engine starting. Tires on asphalt. Silence. Melissa sank to the floor, hands over her face, sobbing. Aaron stood holding Emma, watching his wife break. He wanted to comfort her. He wanted to rage. He wanted to turn back time. Instead, he sat on Emma's bed and waited for the sedative to wear off, planning his next move. Because this wasn't over. Barbara's threat echoed in his mind. You'll regret this. Aaron didn't regret anything. But he knew Barbara, knew her pride, her need for control, her inability to accept defeat. She'd come for them again. And next time, he needed to be ready. Not just ready. He needed to end this. Aaron took Emma to the emergency room at Northwestern Memorial at midnight, Melissa following in her car like a ghost. The attending physician, a tired-looking woman named Dr. Patricia Hayes, listened to their story with increasing concern, then ordered a full tox screen and called in a pediatric specialist. Emma woke fully around 2 a.m., disoriented and frightened. Aaron held her hand while nurses drew blood, while doctors shone lights in her eyes, while everyone asked questions in gentle voices that barely masked their horror. We're mandated reporters, Dr. Hayes said, pulling Aaron and Melissa into a consultation room at 4:30. I have to file with DCFS. There will be an investigation. We want that, Aaron said. Melissa sat silent beside him, still in her pajamas under a borrowed jacket, looking 10 years older than she had yesterday. We want everything documented. The sedative in her system is diphenhydramine, Dr. Hayes continued. Children's Benadryl, essentially, but in doses well above safe levels for her weight. Long-term use could cause developmental issues, memory problems. You said this has been happening for months. Every time I traveled for work, Aaron said. Maybe 8, 10 times in the past 4 months. Dr. Hayes made notes. We'll need to do cognitive assessments. And I'm referring you to a child psychologist. What she's experienced, this is trauma. They brought Emma home at dawn. She fell asleep immediately, exhausted from the hospital ordeal. Aaron sat on her bedroom floor, watching her breathe, while Melissa made phone calls in the kitchen. First to her job, taking emergency leave. Then to a lawyer. Then, after a long silence, to her father. Aaron heard her voice break during that conversation, heard years of suppressed hurt spill out. Daddy, Mom hurt Emma. No, I'm not exaggerating. She's been drugging her. Drugging my daughter. How could you not know? How could you? Gerald Donaldson arrived at 9 a.m., a tall man with Melissa's auburn hair, gone mostly gray. Aaron had met him only a handful of times over the years. Barbara had kept her ex-husband at arm's length since their divorce 12 years ago, and Melissa had followed her mother's lead. Is she really okay? Gerald asked, standing in Emma's doorway. Physically, yes. The rest. Aaron trailed off. We don't know yet. Gerald's jaw tightened. I need to tell you something. About Barbara. Something I should have told you years ago. They sat at the kitchen table, Aaron, Melissa, and Gerald. The morning sun cut harsh angles through the windows. Your mother has a condition, Gerald began, looking at Melissa. Narcissistic personality disorder. We got the diagnosis 20 years ago when you were in high school. Do you remember her hospitalization? The one she said was for pneumonia. Melissa nodded slowly. It was a psychiatric hold. She'd been stalking my co-worker, a woman I'd never even been involved with. Barbara convinced herself I was having an affair. She broke into the woman's apartment, tried to, Gerald's voice caught. She tried to hurt her, to make her confess to an affair that didn't exist. Aaron felt ice in his veins. What happened? The woman didn't press charges if Barbara got help. She was diagnosed, started treatment. But Barbara stopped taking her medication after 2 months. Said it made her weak, clouded her thinking. I tried to keep you away from it, Melissa. That's why we divorced. Why I moved to California. I thought, Gerald's voice cracked. I thought if I left, if I gave her space, she'd focus on getting better. Instead, she focused on me, Melissa whispered. She made me her entire world. I'm sorry. Gerald reached for his daughter's hand. I should have fought harder. Should have warned Aaron. But Barbara was always so careful around you. So loving. I convinced myself maybe I'd been wrong. Maybe the diagnosis was incorrect. She wasn't loving, Aaron said quietly. She was possessive. Melissa's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and went pale. It's Mom. She's texted me 40 times since last night. Let me see. Aaron held out his hand. The messages started apologetic. Melissa, please understand, I was trying to help. Then angry. You're making a terrible mistake trusting him. Then desperate. I'm your mother. You can't cut me out. I won't let you. The most recent, sent 3 minutes ago. If you don't answer me, you'll regret it. All of you. That's a threat, Gerald said. Save everything. Document every contact. Already called the police, Melissa said. Filed a report. They said they'd send someone to question her, but she laughed bitterly. The officer said unless they catch her in the act again, there's not much they can do. She'll deny everything. Say we're lying, that Aaron planted evidence. The cameras, Aaron said. You installed surveillance equipment without her consent. The footage might not be admissible in court. Aaron stood, pacing. So that's it? She drugs our daughter, threatens us, and walks away. There's the DCFS investigation, Gerald offered. And the hospital documentation. That counts for something. It counts for keeping Emma safe in the moment. It doesn't stop Barbara from coming back. Aaron's mind raced through scenarios, possibilities. Barbara was smart, careful. She'd spent months building her fake abuse case against him, staging photographs, documenting fictional incidents. She wouldn't give up now. She'd regroup, wait, plan, unless Aaron planned first. He thought of what Emma had said, like a superhero. But superheroes followed rules. They operated within systems. Aaron had spent 3 years as a consultant learning that sometimes, to solve an impossible problem, you had to think laterally. Find an angle no one else saw. I need to go out, he said. Melissa looked up. Where? There's something I need to check. I'll be back in a few hours. Aaron, trust me. He drove to the Cook County Clerk's office first, then to the Hall of Records. He spent 4 hours searching databases, requesting documents, piecing together Barbara Donaldson's past. What he found made his blood run cold. Barbara's psychiatric hospitalization. The restraining order her ex-husband's co-worker had filed, later withdrawn. But there was more. A sealed juvenile record belonging to Donna Donaldson, Melissa's younger sister who died at 16 in a car accident. Aaron pulled strings, called in favors, paid a retired police detective $300 to access sealed records. What he read in that file changed everything. Donna hadn't died in an accident. She'd driven her car into a tree at 60 miles an hour on a straight road with perfect visibility. The investigating officer had noted suspicious circumstances, but the case was closed as accidental death. Donna's diary, recovered from her room, contained entries about her mother's episodes, her rules, the way she'd make Donna drink medicine when she was bad. The pattern was unmistakable. Barbara had been doing this for decades. Emma wasn't her first victim. Donna had escaped the only way she saw possible. Aaron sat in his car in the Hall of Records parking lot, hands shaking with rage. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You think you've won. You haven't. Watch your back, Aaron. Accidents happen. He screenshot the message, forwarded it to the email address the police had given them for their case file. Then he made 3 phone calls. The first to Harry Daly, an old college friend who now worked in private investigation. The second to Ricky Burke, a forensic accountant he'd met through work. The third to his own lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman named Trisha Holt who specialized in family law and restraining orders. I need to build an ironclad case, Aaron told Trisha. Everything documented, everything legal. And I need to know where the line is. The line for what? For protecting my family. Trisha was quiet for a moment. Aaron, I'm going to advise you right now. Anything you're thinking about doing that involves confronting this woman directly, don't. Let the system work. The system let her torture my daughter for 4 months. The system will put her through months of investigation. Maybe slap her with a misdemeanor if we're lucky. That's not protection, Trisha. That's paperwork. And if you take matters into your own hands, you risk losing Emma. A judge won't award custody to a father who can't control his temper. I'm perfectly in control. Aaron's voice was ice. I'm just not interested in playing by rules that protect abusers. Then I can't help you. Yes, you can. Because everything I'm planning is legal. Aggressive, maybe. Ruthless, definitely. But legal. Another pause. Tell me your plan. Aaron laid it out. The evidence he'd gathered. The additional evidence he planned to gather. The way he intended to dismantle Barbara Donaldson's life piece by piece until she had nothing left to threaten them with. When he finished, Tricia laughed. A short, sharp sound. That's diabolical. Is it legal? Technically? Yes. Morally questionable? Absolutely. But legal. Then get started on the paperwork. I'll have everything you need by tomorrow. Aaron drove home to find Emma awake, sitting at the kitchen table with Melissa, drawing. She looked up when he entered, and the fear in her eyes had lessened slightly. Daddy, Grandpa Gerald is here. He made pancakes. Gerald waved from the stove, spatula in hand. Hope you don't mind. Figured everyone needed real food. Thank you. Aaron kissed Emma's head, then pulled Melissa into the living room. We need to talk. He told her what he'd found. About Donna. About Barbara's history. Melissa listened with a face like stone, tears tracking silently down her cheeks. My sister, she whispered. She killed my sister. We can't prove that, but we can prove she's a danger. We can prove she shouldn't be anywhere near children. And we can make sure everyone knows it. Ow! Aaron told her his plan. It took 20 minutes. When he finished, Melissa sat back, studying him with new eyes. You're serious. Completely. It'll destroy her. Yes. Melissa thought about Emma's screams, about Donna's diary, about years of subtle manipulation she was only now beginning to recognize. Do it. Harry Daly arrived that evening with equipment that would make a spy jealous. He swept the house for bugs, found none, then set up a surveillance system that made Aaron's hidden cameras look like toys. This is military grade, Harry explained, showing Aaron the interface on his tablet. Motion-activated cloud backup, encrypted feeds. If she comes within 50 feet of this house, we'll know. What about her house? Aaron asked. Harry grinned. That's trickier, but I know a guy who does property assessments. If Barbara Donaldson were to suddenly develop, say, a termite problem requiring immediate inspection, that's a legal entry. It's a licensed inspector entering a property with legitimate cause. If he happens to notice anything concerning while he's there, say evidence of more medication stockpiles, more staging equipment, well, that's just good citizenship. Aaron nodded slowly. How soon? Give me 3 days. Ricky Burke, the forensic accountant, came the next morning. He was a small, intense man with wire-rimmed glasses and the focused energy of a predator on a scent. Bank records, credit cards, property holdings, Ricky said, spreading papers across Aaron's dining room table. You want the financial breakdown on Barbara Donaldson? Everything, especially anything that shows a pattern. Patterns are my specialty. It took Ricky 4 days. What he uncovered was damning. Barbara had been skimming from her ex-husband's alimony for years, small amounts, but consistent. She'd opened credit cards in Melissa's name when Melissa was in college, running up debt and paying it off just enough to avoid detection. She had a storage unit registered under a dead relative's name, paid for in cash. Whatever's in that unit, Ricky said, she doesn't want anyone to know about. Aaron called Harry. Can your inspector friend handle storage units? Now, that is illegal. But if, hypothetically, the storage facility security system were to malfunction around the same time someone happened to be in the area with a lockpick set and a camera. Hypothetically, Aaron agreed. 2 nights later, Harry sent Aaron a text. You need to see this. The photos showed the inside of Barbara's storage unit. Boxes upon boxes of files. Medical records, photographs, notebooks. Harry's people had photographed everything, careful not to disturb the arrangement. Aaron scrolled through the images, his stomach churning. Documentation of every incident Barbara had staged with Emma. Photographs of Emma sleeping, unconscious, positioned in concerning ways. Notes about Aaron's travel schedule. Research into child abuse patterns, custody laws, mandatory reporting requirements, and older files. So many older files. About Donna, about other children, nieces, nephews, the kids Barbara had watched over the years. A whole network of control and manipulation spanning decades. "This is enough," Aaron said. "This is more than enough." He called Trisha. "I'm ready. File everything." The restraining order went through in 2 days. Emergency provision, given Emma's hospitalization and the documented threats. Barbara was barred from coming within 500 feet of Aaron, Melissa, Emma, or their home. The DCFS investigation concluded in a week. Their finding substantiated abuse. Barbara Donaldson was placed on the child abuse registry. She could never work with children again, never watch grandchildren, never volunteer at schools or daycares. Her nursing license, she'd been a pediatric nurse before retirement, was revoked pending investigation. And then Aaron dropped the nuclear option. He compiled everything. Every document, every photo, every piece of evidence. He created a comprehensive file detailing Barbara Donaldson's 30-year pattern of psychological abuse, drugging, and manipulation of children. He included Donna's diary, excerpts from the sealed juvenile case, the storage unit documentation, the financial fraud. He didn't go to the police with it. The police, bound by procedure and bureaucracy, would take months or years to build a case that might never result in serious charges. Instead, Aaron went to the press. He contacted 3 investigative journalists known for exposing systemic abuse. He gave them everything neatly packaged, fully documented, impossible to ignore. The first article ran in the Chicago Tribune a week later. Hidden pattern. Suburban grandmother's decades of child abuse revealed. The second article ran in the Sun-Times 2 days after that. System failures allowed serial abuser to target own grandchild. Local news picked it up. Then regional news. Barbara Donaldson's face was everywhere, accompanied by words like predator and monster. Her neighbors, interviewed by eager reporters, suddenly remembered strange things. The grandchildren who never wanted to visit. The children in the neighborhood who'd avoid her house. The pharmacy technician who recalled unusually large purchases of children's medication. The evidence became an avalanche. Barbara tried to fight back. She gave an interview claiming Aaron had fabricated everything, that she was the victim of a vindictive son-in-law. But Aaron had anticipated this. He released the video footage from the night he caught her. Yes, it might not be admissible in court, but court of public opinion had different standards. The footage of Barbara forcing medication down Emma's throat, combined with the hospital records showing diphenhydramine in Emma's system, was damning. Barbara hired a lawyer. The lawyer reviewed the evidence and quietly withdrew from the case. She tried to contact Melissa, Gerald, old friends. No one answered. Aaron had reached out to her entire social network first, showing them the documented evidence, giving them a chance to understand what Barbara really was. Most were horrified. Some defended her initially, but the weight of evidence was crushing. Within 3 weeks, Barbara was isolated, unemployable, publicly reviled. She'd built her entire identity on being a respected community member, a devoted grandmother, a woman who only wanted what was best for her family. Aaron had systematically destroyed every pillar of that identity, using nothing but the truth and strategic exposure. He'd done it all legally. Ruthlessly, yes. Without mercy, absolutely. But legally. And he wasn't finished. The civil suit hit Barbara like a freight train. Aaron and Melissa, represented by Trisha Holt and a team of family law specialists, sued for damages. Emma's medical expenses, therapy costs, pain and suffering, and punitive damages for intentional infliction of emotional distress. The amount, $2 million. You'll never collect that much, Trisha warned. She doesn't have it. I don't care about the money, Aaron said. I care about the judgment. I want her bankruptcy filed as due to child abuse settlement. I want it following her for the rest of her life. Barbara's lawyer, her third, the first two having bailed, tried to negotiate a settlement. Aaron refused. He wanted this in court, on the record, with testimony and cross-examination and a jury deciding Barbara's guilt. The trial took 3 weeks. Emma didn't have to testify. She was too young, and the medical evidence spoke for itself. but others did. Gerald told the court about Barbara's psychiatric history, the stalking incident, his fears for his daughters. Pediatric experts explained the effects of prolonged sedative abuse on developing brains. Aaron showed the jury the storage unit photos, the staged abuse documentation, the threatening text messages. Barbara's defense was that she'd been trying to protect Emma from Aaron's abuse. She claimed Aaron was violent, controlling, that he'd coached Emma to lie. Tricia destroyed that theory on cross-examination. She introduced evidence of Aaron's work travel, showing he was physically absent during every incident of Emma's drugging episodes. She showed the timeline. Emma's symptoms started only after Barbara began watching her regularly. She brought in Aaron's employer, colleagues, friends, a parade of character witnesses attesting to his stability, his devotion to his family, his complete lack of violent tendencies. Most damning, she showed the jury Barbara's own notes from the storage unit, documenting her plan to build a false abuse case against Aaron, including specific strategies for manufacturing evidence and undermining Aaron's credibility. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Verdict: in favor of plaintiffs on all counts. Damages awarded: $2.7 million. Barbara's face, when the verdict was read, was a mask of disbelief. She truly thought she'd win, that her version of events, her righteous conviction that she was saving her family, would prevail. She'd forgotten that evidence doesn't care about conviction. The bankruptcy filing came 6 weeks later. Barbara lost her house, a modest 3-bedroom she'd owned for 20 years. Lost her car, lost her savings. Everything liquidated to pay a fraction of the judgment she owed. She moved into a studio apartment in a less-than-desirable neighborhood. Got a job stocking shelves at a discount store, one of the few employers willing to overlook her background check results. But Aaron wasn't done. He discovered during the investigation that Barbara had been on the board of a local children's charity, had volunteered at Emma's school, had been a trusted community figure with access to hundreds of children over the years. Aaron contacted every organization Barbara had ever been affiliated with. He provided documentation, offered to speak with their legal teams, made sure they understood the liability they'd been exposed to by letting her near children. 2 more families came forward. Children who'd been in Barbara's care years ago, who'd experienced similar symptoms. Unexplained sleepiness, missing time, vague fears they couldn't articulate. Their parents had dismissed it as normal childhood issues. Now, armed with Emma's case as a template, they filed their own complaints with DCFS. The investigations snowballed. While nothing could be criminally prosecuted due to statutes of limitations, the pattern was undeniable. Barbara Donaldson had been systematically abusing children for decades. The final blow came from an unexpected source. Gerald Donaldson's attorney contacted Aaron with information about Donna's death. The sealed case file included a suicide note that hadn't been made public. In it, Donna described her mother's abuse, the medication, the photographs, the fear. "I want this reopened," Gerald said when he met with Aaron and Melissa. "My daughter's death wasn't an accident. It was the result of abuse. I want that on record." With fresh evidence and an adult family member advocating for investigation, the case was reopened. The district attorney reviewed the materials and determined that while they couldn't prosecute Barbara for Donna's death, the evidence was too old, too circumstantial. They could and would use it to support ongoing investigations into Barbara's pattern of behavior. The media coverage intensified. Barbara Donaldson became shorthand for a particular type of hidden predator. The respected community member, the trusted grandmother, the person everyone assumed was safe. Aaron saw her once more, 3 months after the trial. He was picking up Emma from school, her new school across town where no one knew their story, when he spotted Barbara sitting in a car across the street. She wasn't technically violating the restraining order. She was 520 feet away, measured. But she was watching. Always watching. Aaron pulled out his phone and took a photo. Sent it to Tricia, to Harry, to the police. "She's escalating again," he said. "Let her," Tricia advised. "Every violation we document strengthens our case. If she's stupid enough to make a move, we'll be ready." But Aaron knew Barbara wasn't stupid. Narcissistic, yes. Delusional about her own righteousness, absolutely. But not stupid. She'd wait. She'd plan. And eventually, she'd try something. He needed to make sure that when she did, it would be the last thing she ever tried. The solution came to Aaron at 3 a.m., when insomnia and anxiety kept him pacing the living room. He couldn't spend the rest of his life waiting for Barbara to strike. Couldn't keep Emma in a state of permanent vigilance. He needed to finish this. But how do you stop someone who believes they're justified in everything they do? Someone who sees themselves as the hero of their own story? You prove to them, beyond any doubt, that they're the villain. Aaron called Harry the next morning. I need you to do something. Something that might cross ethical lines. I'm listening. Barbara still believes she's right. That she was protecting Melissa from me, saving Emma from abuse. She's reframed everything in her mind to make herself the victim. I need to break that delusion. Ow! Make her face what she really is. They spent 2 weeks preparing. Harry worked with a psychiatrist who specialized in narcissistic personality disorder, creating a profile of Barbara's specific psychology. They identified her triggers, her defense mechanisms, the core beliefs that allowed her to justify her actions. Then Harry set the trap. He created a fake support group for grandparents denied custody, a real phenomenon in family court. The group had a private Facebook page, weekly meetings at a local community center. Harry seeded it with actors, people who could improvise and adapt, who would create a space where Barbara would feel safe opening up. Barbara joined within 3 days of the group's creation. For 6 weeks, she attended meetings. She told her story, heavily edited, of course, painting Aaron as an abuser and herself as the protective grandmother. The group members listened sympathetically, asked gentle questions, slowly drew out more details. Every meeting was recorded. Not for evidence. This was too ethically murky for court. But for something else. In the 7th meeting, the group facilitator, actually a therapist Harry had hired, introduced a new perspective exercise. Sometimes, the facilitator said, to heal, we need to hear our stories from another point of view. Would anyone be willing to hear their situation described from their grandchild perspective? Barbara volunteered immediately. Of course she did. She was certain that Emma, if properly understood, would vindicate her. The facilitator had worked with Emma's actual therapist to create a script. Not Emma's real words, but a psychologically accurate representation of what Emma experienced. An actress played the role, a woman in her 20s who could project Emma's terror. My grandmother said she loved me. The actress began, voice small and frightened. But at night, she made me drink things that made me sleep. And when I woke up, I was in different clothes, and I couldn't remember what happened. And I was scared all the time. And when I told Daddy, when I begged him not to leave, she said she'd make him disappear forever if I told anyone what she did. Barbara's face went white. She took pictures of me while I was asleep, the actress continued. Pictures that made me look hurt. And she told me it was to protect me, but I didn't understand what I needed protection from. I just wanted my daddy. I just wanted to feel safe. Stop, Barbara whispered. And even now, even though she can't come to my house anymore, I'm still scared. I have nightmares about her. I see her car outside my school, and I panic. Sometimes I can't sleep because I think she'll find a way to come back and make me drink the bad things again. Stop. Barbara's voice rose. I know she thinks she was helping me, but she hurt me. She hurt me so much. And I don't understand why someone who says they love me would hurt me like that. Barbara stood up, knocking her chair over. That's not. She doesn't understand. I was saving her. From what? The facilitator asked gently. From him. From that man who was manipulating her mother, who was going to destroy their family. Did he hurt Emma? He would have. Eventually. I could see it. But he didn't. You did. The words hung in the air. Around the room, the support group members sat silent. Barbara looked at their faces, seeing for the first time not sympathy, but horror. You drugged a child, one of them said softly. You staged abuse photos. You terrorized her. Whatever you thought you were doing, whatever you convinced yourself of, you hurt her. No, I was protecting. You hurt her. Another member repeated. You were the danger. Barbara fled the room. Harry's cameras caught her in the parking lot, sitting in her car, crying. Not tears of remorse, but of rage and confusion. Her worldview cracking. Justifications failing. Harry sent Aaron the footage. "That's as close to accountability as someone like her gets," he said. "True narcissists can't really change. But we've at least introduced doubt. She'll spend the rest of her life fighting that doubt." Aaron watched the video 3 times. It wasn't enough. He wanted Barbara to face real consequences, wanted her to suffer the way Emma had suffered. But Harry was right. This was as close to justice as they'd get. Barbara would live the rest of her life with her reputation destroyed, her family estranged, her finances ruined, and now, thanks to the support group confrontation, the first cracks in her psychological armor. She'd always know, on some level, that she was the monster in this story. That would have to be enough. 6 months after the trial, Emma was thriving. The therapy was working. She still had nightmares occasionally, still tensed when she saw gray-haired women who resembled Barbara. But she was laughing again, playing again, being a kid again. Melissa had changed too. She'd started her own therapy, working through years of her mother's manipulation. She'd reconnected with her father, forming a relationship they'd never had when Barbara was controlling access. She'd apologized to Aaron repeatedly for not believing Emma sooner, for defending Barbara, for being so thoroughly gaslight that she couldn't see what was right in front of her. "You couldn't have known," Aaron told her each time. "That's what people like Barbara do. They make you doubt reality. Still, I should have protected her. We both should have. And now we are." Aaron had taken a leave of absence from work, was considering a career change. He'd realized during this ordeal that he was good at investigation, at piecing together evidence, at strategic thinking. Harry had already offered him a job at his private investigation firm. "You've got the mind for it," Harry said. "And the motivation. Imagine helping other families like yours." Aaron was considering it. There were so many Barbara Donaldsons in the world. So many children suffering because everyone assumed grandmothers couldn't be predators, because charm and community reputation provided perfect cover. He could make a difference. Real difference. His phone buzzed. A text from unknown number. "You think you've won. You haven't. I'm still her grandmother. She's still my family. You can't keep us apart forever." Aaron screenshot the message, forwarded it to the police and his lawyer. Another violation documented. Another piece of evidence that Barbara would never change. But this time, the threat didn't frighten him. Because he'd learned something over these past months. Monsters have power only when they operate in darkness. Once exposed, once everyone sees them for what they are, they're just sad, broken people screaming into the void. Barbara Donaldson had no power anymore. She could threaten, could watch from 500 feet away, could send text messages from burner phones. But she couldn't touch Emma, couldn't touch any of them. Because Aaron had built walls around his family, walls of evidence, of legal protections, of public exposure. And more importantly, he taught Emma that she had power too. Power to speak up, to be believed, to be safe. "Daddy." Emma appeared in the doorway, Mr. Buttons tucked under one arm. "Can we have pancakes for dinner?" "Absolutely." "Want to help me make them?" "Yeah." She ran to the kitchen. Aaron followed, pocketing his phone. Let Barbara send her threats. Let her stew in her ruined life, her shattered self-image. He had more important things to focus on, like teaching his daughter to make pancakes, like being present, like building a life where Emma never had to be afraid again. 3 years later, Aaron stood in a courtroom again. But this time, he was a witness for the prosecution in a criminal case against Barbara Donaldson. New evidence had emerged. One of the other families who'd come forward after Emma's case had kept searching, had found proof of Barbara's actions that met criminal standards. Photographs she'd taken without consent. Messages detailing her plans. Physical evidence of the medications she'd used. The district attorney had finally built a case that would stick. Barbara sat at the defense table, older now, smaller somehow. Her expensive clothes were gone, replaced by a cheap suit. Her hair had gone completely gray. She looked at Aaron with pure hatred when he took the stand. Aaron testified for 2 hours. About Emma's symptoms. About the night he caught Barbara in the act. About the investigation that followed. He was calm, factual, unshakable. When he finished, the prosecutor asked one final question. "Mr. Wilson, how is your daughter now?" Aaron allowed himself A small smile. She's amazing. She's in 4th grade. She loves soccer. She wants to be a veterinarian. She's happy. She's safe. She's everything a 9-year-old should be. And does she ever ask about her grandmother? No. She doesn't remember most of what happened. The therapist says that's common with childhood trauma, the brain protecting itself. She knows her grandma Barbara made some bad choices and can't see her anymore. But she has Grandpa Gerald, and she has us, and she has a life full of people who actually love her. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. The jury convicted Barbara Donaldson on 6 counts of child endangerment, 3 counts of battery, and 2 counts of unlawful restraint. The judge sentenced her to 12 years in prison. Barbara screamed when the sentence was read, had to be physically restrained by bailiffs. Aaron watched impassively. 12 years. She'd be 77 when she got out. Emma would be 21, old enough that Barbara could never touch her again. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Aaron gave a brief statement. This verdict represents justice not just for Emma, but for all the children Barbara Donaldson hurt over the years. Our system failed to protect them for too long. I hope this sends a message that no one is above accountability, not even grandmothers. He drove home, where Melissa and Emma were making dinner. Gerald was there too. He'd moved to Chicago a year ago, wanting to be closer to his daughter and granddaughter to make up for lost time. How'd it go? Melissa asked. 12 years. Emma looked up from the vegetables she was cutting. Is the bad lady gone forever, Daddy? She's going somewhere she can't hurt anyone, Aaron said, kneeling beside his daughter. And you never have to be afraid of her again. Emma nodded seriously, then smiled. Good. Can we have movie night after dinner? Absolutely. Later, after Emma was asleep, Aaron sat on the back porch with Melissa. They didn't talk much, didn't need to. They'd been through hell and come out the other side stronger, more honest, more present. Do you ever regret how you handled it? Melissa asked. The investigation, the publicity, all of it. Aaron thought about the question honestly. He destroyed Barbara's life systematically, methodically, without mercy. He'd exposed her secrets, ruined her reputation, ensured she'd never know peace or anonymity again. Some people might call that revenge. Some might call it excessive. No, he said finally. She hurt our daughter. She would have kept hurting children. Someone had to stop her. You didn't just stop her. You dismantled her. I made sure she could never do this again. That's not revenge, Melissa. That's protection. Melissa took his hand. I know. And I'm grateful. Emma's grateful, even if she doesn't fully understand yet. You saved her. We saved her, Aaron corrected. All of us. Together. They sat in comfortable silence, watching stars emerge in the darkening sky. Inside, their daughter slept safely, dreaming whatever dreams 9-year-olds dream. Probably something about soccer or puppies or both. Barbara Donaldson was in a cell somewhere, facing the consequences of her choices. And Aaron Wilson was exactly where he needed to be. Home, with his family, building a future where none of them had to be afraid. He'd learned something important through this ordeal. Sometimes the hero's journey isn't about defeating the monster. It's about exposing it, about making sure everyone sees the danger so clearly that the monster can never hide again. He'd done that. He'd won. And the victory, hard-earned and painful as it was, felt right. It felt like justice. And there you have it. Another story comes to an end. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this story, consider joining our community by subscribing. It means the world to us. For more stories like this one, check out the recommended videos on screen. And I'll see you there.